MTU or maximum transmission unit. So in networking, this is a very small but very important aspect. Okay. So you see a truck. Now there is a passage, that is the height, which allows a particular size or height vehicle to pass through. But because of this, because the height of the vehicle is higher than that height, there is a problem. Same with the packet. Packet has to go everywhere, and there will be different networks it will encounter from source to destination. What is the proper size? What is the maximum size this packet should have so that this kind of happening should not happen? I mean that there has to be certain size of an MTU to reach from source to destination without any problem. Okay. Now you see an example here also. Now packet has an MTU or a size of 1500. Now in this case there is a passage where the MTU allowed is only 1200. This 1500 MTU will not be able to go. This is in bytes. Okay, there is 300 extra. So it will come back or it will be resent. This packet will be divided and divided such that only a value which is lower than 1200 can go. Okay, that is the content, that is the payload. So maximum transmission unit or MTU, this term is not only used in networking but also in operating system. So this MTU is defining the largest size of a packet, that is the higher side of the packet that can be transmitted as a single entity as a packet in a network connection. MTU, as I said, is measured in bytes, but the value is not fixed. It totally depends on the network technology being used. 1500 means we are talking about Ethernet. So as I just suggested, this network can have any kind of technology in between. So if you are able to send 1500 byte on Ethernet, it is possible. Okay, but the 1500 is the typical size of Ethernet network MTU. But for a WAN technology, it will be 9000 bytes or higher. So you just saw a truck, right? So unlike this truck, data packets that will exceed the size of MTU, they have to be divided into pieces, or they are to be broken up into smaller chunks or pieces so that they can actually fit through and pass on through all the network. So in this case, you just saw 1500 where there is a blockage or there is a point where 1200 only can pass. So we'll divide this 1500 into say two parts, 750, 750. And since 750 is lower than 1200, there will be no problem. This process, this kind of way is called as fragmentation. And this fragmentation, when these packets will be sent, these two packets 750, 750, these fragmented packets will reassemble once they reach the final destination. So MTU is all about the maximum size of packet that can pass through the network connection as a single entity. I'll give you one more aspect of this. See, maximum segment size has to be talked with MTU, and MTU has to be talked with maximum segment size. Maximum segment size is the payload, is the content which has to go from one place to another. Now, every layer adds certain, trailer and header. That is, you can say an overweight. So 1460 plus 20 is 1480, 1480 plus 20 from the network layer again, it becomes 1500. So this 1500 payload is actual MTU. MSS is 1460. When you combine all the layer overheads, that will become a payload, and that is called the MTU. Now, talking about the different layers, OSI layer or TCP/IP, MTU is the largest size of the content or the packet which can be sent from source to destination without any problem, passing through all the different network technologies in the network. So MTU is almost always is used in reference to layer 3 packets, which is the network layer here. or packets that are using the IP, which is the Internet Protocol. So MTU measures the packet as a whole, not just the content, it also includes the headers. So you see here, MTU is actually the payload, that is the content, plus TCP header plus IP header. So a data packet is total as a MTU, because MSS is just the payload, which is only 1460 in this case. When you add 2020 TCP header and IP header, that becomes MTU. So this has to include the IP header and the TCP transport control transport control protocol header, which usually here in this case adds up to 40 bytes in length. So I hope you have a very good understanding of MSS and MTU. What is the difference between it? So the maximum segment size, MSS, is the size of the payload in an IP packet, which you see in the figure also. Okay. MSS is the size of the payload, that is the content, and payload added with the headers, it becomes MTU. So it is effectively the most data that senders can transmit without exceeding the MTU, because MTU is the highest threshold, highest value, or largest size of a packet that can pass through source to destination. So how will you find the MSS? MSS can easily be computed by subtracting the header size from the IP MTU.